this is Yashas. So in this video, I'll just share 5 pandas functions, which are very helpful. So to demonstrate this function, I'll be using this tips dataset from Seaborn library. Just importing the libraries, loading the dataset. So this example contains information about the total bill, the tip size, additional information about the customer, like on which day he came, what was the time, the size, whether he was a smoker or not. So it includes these things. And the target column is tip. Okay. First step, first pandas step. So let's kick things off with one of my favorite pandas functions. Whenever I'm dealing with data, more often or not, I need to filter the data set, right? So a straightforward approach to filter the data in pandas data frame by using this query function. So in this example, I just want to get the male customer where the size column is greater than 2. I want to get the male customer where the size column is greater than 2. So before this query function, I used to create this Boolean mask. I used to create this Boolean mask with my filter function, filter expression. So this method, it works, but it'll be messy when you include more criterion. For example, if you want to filter the data using more than 2 columns, it'll be messy. So what I'll do, I'll just use this query function. So df.query, pandas query. So get me all the records where the gender is male, size is greater than head, get me the first 10 records. This is simple. Here you can include many filtering conditions with your logical operators. So what made this query function so neat is that you can also include variables. Let's say I want to return, the data for Saturday and Sunday. So you can also include variables. Here I have a list days which contains Saturday and Sunday, then using query. So using query, in the first step, I've just created a list with the filtering criteria. And in the second step inside query function, I just have this @ symbol. I can now pass this variable into the query function. So the next time you want to filter your data set, you might want to give this function a try. So here, see both days, Saturday and Sunday. Everything is working. Okay, let's look at the second function in pandas called as n smallest and n largest. Let's say you want to return the 5 largest total bill. So in my data, I have this total bill, right? So I want to return the 5 largest total bill amounts. So in that case, you have this n largest. So before knowing this n largest function, what we used to do? We used to always use sort values, df.sort values by which column, by total bill, ascending false, and I used to use head to get the largest 5 values, right? So likewise, to sort the values in descending order, you can use this n largest to sort the values in descending order and also return the head. So here I'm just saying df n largest, passing how many records I want based on which column to filter n largest. So this is simple. Syntactically, it's also simple. It is easier to use as well. Likewise, you can also return the smallest values by using this n smallest. So here I'm returning this n smallest, get me the least 3 tips based on tips column. These were the least 3 tips given in the entire data frame. So my next step is a group by function. You might know this function already. So let's start with a simple example by grouping the data set based on gender and returning the mean. So I'll just group the data set based on gender and return the mean for all the numerical values. By the way, so this is similar to a pivot table in Excel. Here, the average total bill for male is 20, tip size 3. So this is simple group by. Now let's group by based on multiple columns. So what makes this powerful is you can combine group by with aggregation functions as well. So here we're just seeing group by on multiple columns. So group by on gender and smoker and do the summation for all the numerical values. Right. So now what makes this powerful is you can also combine group by with aggregate functions. Let's say on top of this mean, it would also return the sum of all the numerical values. So in this, additionally, you can use various aggregation methods for different columns. See here, I'm using different aggregate methods for different columns. On gender, give me the sum. On smoker, get me the mean. So on gender, get me the sum. Based on gender, get me the sum. And based on smoker, get me the mean. Here, see, additionally, you can use various aggregate methods for different columns. Here, I have just created a simple dictionary, this simple dictionary aggregate criteria. So here I would return the sum of the total bill amount. And for tips, I would return the mean. I would calculate the mean. So in the next step, after this group by, so group by based on gender and smoker, I'm passing the dictionary inside the aggregate function. So as a result, your pandas will return the data frame with this split. Okay. Okay, now let's see as index. So to flatten the data frame, you can set this as index to false. After executing this line, the data frame looks something like this. So you'll get your system index, default system index starting from 0. Okay, let's look at the fourth tip. Fourth function in pandas called as cut function, pandas cut function. So with this pandas cut function, you can create different bins or let's say different categories for a specific column. So let me demonstrate this with an example. I have this tips amount, right? So let's look at the distribution of this tip amount by using a histogram. So you can see that most of the customers give the tip between 2 and 3. Right, in this range, you have a higher range. In this range, you have most of the customers give tips in this range. Now, what I want to do is, I want to insert a new column into my data frame. I want to insert a new column and categorize the tips based on the amount. Let's say if the tip is from $0 to $2, I would say I'll put that into small category. Everything about $2 and up to $4, I'll put it in medium bracket. Tips greater than $4 and up to $11, I'll just put it as high. So after defining your bin size, see here, see these are my bin size, $0 to $2, I'll categorize it as small, $2 to $4, I'll categorize it as medium, then anything greater than 4 to the infinite amount. So there might be some generous customers who are tipping a very high value. So I won't know the maximum value. Hence, for the upper bound, I've created infinite, float infinite. Then these are the labels, medium, small, high. So as a result, your pandas will create a new column with different categories using pd.cut, df.tip. So give the records, create a new column and give the values based on this tip column. These are the bins I'm passing and these are the labels. Here, if you see a tip category, so this is the column I had created, tip category. So based on the tip size, here the tip size is 1, so it went to small category. Here the tip size is 4.71, it went to high category. So this is pandas cut. Okay, let's look at the fifth pandas function, pivot table, creating a pivot table. So in this example, we'll create a pivot table that shows the average tip amount, for each combination of day and time. See, for each combination of day and time, the value parameter specifies the aggregate function, and the index parameter specifies the columns to group by. So this values parameter specifies the columns to aggregate, and this index parameter specifies the column to group by. And this aggregate function parameter specifies the aggregate function to apply, in this case, mean. So it just creates a pivot table. So it just says date, time, and tip. If it is a Thursday lunch, so I'm just using mean values, right? So I can say that the highest tip or the highest chance of getting a higher tip is on Sunday dinner time. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you, everyone.